Hello, friends, and welcome to Pour and Explore wine, food, and travel stories from around the world. I'm Nick Elliott, the Wine Guy. This is where we sip, savor, and wander through the world of wine, explore incredible food, and uncover the stories behind unforgettable destinations. Each week, you'll hear engaging conversations with wine pros, chefs, travelers, and fellow enthusiasts, plus educational episodes to help you sip smarter and explore deeper. So, grab a glass, pull up a chair, and let's pour, explore, and celebrate the good life. Let's dive in. All right, picture this. It's the early 1990s. You're a young woman in Los Angeles. You've just packed everything you own into a moving truck and you're starting fresh in San Diego. And somewhere between the freeway on-ramp and your new front door, the truck disappears. Everything in it is gone. Most people call the police, file a report, and spend the next 6 months being miserable. My guest, she packed a bag and bought a one-way ticket to South Africa. Welcome to Pour and Explore, everyone, the show about wine, food, and the kind of travel that actually changes you. I'm Nick Elliott, the Wine Guy. Thanks for being here. Pamdiana Jones, and yes, that is the name, that is exactly what you think it is. She chose it herself, is a San Diego-based author and adventurer who accidentally spent 3 years traveling solo around the world. Accidentally. South Africa first, then Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Bali, Australia, New Zealand, so on and so forth. 3 years alone. On almost no money. In an era before smartphones, GPS, or anyone to text at 2 a.m. when things went sideways. And trust me, things went sideways. She's written it all down in her debut memoir, When in Rome, as in roaming, which she did a lot of, I can say. And I have to tell you, it was only a few pages in when I sat down to record this episode today, and I was already completely hooked. It's funny, it's fast, it's the kind of travel writing that makes you want to cancel your plans, find your passport, and go somewhere you've never been. We're going to talk about the cover photo on the book, which is Pam bungee jumping in New Zealand backwards. In a moment, she will describe better than I ever could. We're going to talk about the 2 a.m. walk in Africa Wildlife Reserve that none of them planned, and all of them survived. We're going to talk about how she kept her total spend under $900 for 3 months in South Africa, and how a stopover in Malaysia turned into 4 more months of travel, and how 20 years of people telling her to write a book finally became one when she picked up Eat, Pray, Love and thought, I've got better material than this. She also won a travel writing award for shopping. And the shopping in question was not what you'd find at the mall. So stick around. This was a super fun conversation. So settle in, get something good in your glass, and let's go. Thank you so very much for being on the show today. Welcome to Pour and Explore.
Thanks for having me on, Nick. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. I want to dive in straight into the book because I've got to tell you, this is I'm only a few pages into it thus far, and so far it's funny, and I mean it's so adventurous, and I would also say very, very well written. So. Absolutely. So I really, really appreciate you coming in and talking about it. And I want to let the listeners know how great this book is. And I want to start with that amazing cover shot on there. If you don't know about When in Rome, you got to get over to Amazon and check it out. At least check out the cover. Show it to us there, Pam, would you?
Yeah.
Bring it back just a little. There she is. There she is. This cover shot with you bungee jumping. What was yes, what was actually going through your mind in that moment?
This represents every weird I shouldn't be alive, awkward, cringe-worthy moment that I get through in the book. So I put it on the cover with his permission, but I climbed up there in New Zealand. I thought I'll be brave and I'll bungee jump. And I got up there and I went, oh no, I'm not a bungee jumper. So I told my friend, I go, I don't think I'm going to go. He goes, okay. And he shoves me. So I am flying backwards, but in a triple scared way, because I'm like, did you even clip me in? Or did you remember I just said I wasn't going? So just for posterity's sake, my author pen name is Pamdiana Jones, like Indiana Jones, and the book is called When in Rome, ROAM, like you're roaming around, and I'm being shoved off a bungee platform there. So good fun for everybody, I think. Sets the tone entire book.
I'm sure when you think back to it's fun now, but I would imagine it was not in the moment.
Just the look on my face, just like, all right, it's already done. What can you do?
and away we go. Well, you avoided an accident during that harrowing occasion right there, but you say in the book that you accidentally traveled solo around the world. How does one accidentally travel solo? Tell us that story.
Let me back up just a little bit. My grandparents were British, but they lived in Egypt and Sudan and South Africa for 10 years in the 1930s. And then my mother was adventurous and went to Kenya and Tanzania in the 1970s. So I always grew up hearing their African stories. And in the early 1990s, I'm a Los Angeles, California girl, and I moved to San Diego, and my moving truck gets stolen full of everything I owned. So that's the catalyst that really just changes who you are. So I packed up a little backpack. I moved to a ski town called Park City, Utah. And I met a guy there, but we weren't dating or anything. Throughout this whole thing, we weren't dating. And I go, what are you going to do when the snow melts? He goes, I'm going surfing in South Africa. So my eyes just were big as saucers. Wow, that sounds amazing. He goes, you want to go? I go, yeah. So he said the ticket's $1,175 and I had $1,200 to my name. So I went, here's my money. I had $25 left, and he just was shocked. He says, this never happens. So that we left a month later, and that gave me time to sell my car to go. So I had $3,300 when we first left. And just after a few weeks, his sister gets married, and he just unexpectedly, and he wants to run home and be part of that. So I thought I'll continue the 3-month trip without him, because I have friends in South Africa now. I kind of get the vibe of what traveling's like. But he had traveled so cheaply and taught me to do so. Eat white rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and wash your clothes in the bar of soap with the sink, and not spend a penny extra that you don't need to spend. So I only spent $900 in the 3 months of South Africa. So I thought, we bought a car in Cape Town and drove the way as well. So we slept a lot in the car, and then we sold it on the way out. So that's a nice chunk of change. But I asked this on my way home. I had a stopover in Malaysia, and I asked the stewardess. I showed her my ticket. I go, can I get off the flight? And she goes, yeah, your ticket's good for a year. I said, wow. So I called my mom, don't pick me up in 15 hours or whatever it is. And I just thought, I'm in Malaysia. Now Singapore's right there. Thailand's here. Sumatra's right there. Java, Bali, Lombok. And in 4 months of age, I only spent another $1,000. So I still had $1,600. And this is early 90s. So it's probably felt more like $5,000 does now. Yeah. So I thought Australia's right there, and New Zealand. So I began working along the way once I got to those countries. So turned into 3 years. So love it. And I'm glad I did it then. There was no husband, kids, mortgage, rat racy career that I worked so hard for. So that was the perfect time to go.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of authors and vloggers over the last year since I've been doing this podcast, and I'm always just blown away by the courage and the resilience of people who do solo travel. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, the courage, especially. And there are, I would imagine, so many memorable moments. We don't have 17 hours to talk about all of them today, but I do want to ask you about a few of them during the call. But I want to concentrate on the book a little bit more, and then we'll talk about some of the adventures, because I think everyone, if you are interested in travel at all, whether solo or with a family or whatever, this is a book that you need to read. I agree with that 100%.
Thank you.
I mentioned at the top of the show the book is fast paced. It's action packed, and absolutely very, very funny. It's a hilarious the way that you write about it. What prompted you to use comedy, and do you think it's the best way to capture the chaos of travel?
I've always been a sarcastic, funny person. So if something's going wrong, I'm usually laughing to snickering to a friend in the corner, going, "I can't believe this." But I just thought, we all think our lives are normal. So when I got home and started telling some of these stories, people's mouths just dropped. And when you need to write a book, you need to write a book. So for 20 years, I've been told you need to write a book. And I thought, no, who's going to care about my little story? And then a magic book called Eat, Pray, Love came up, and I read it. And while I'm impressed with her writing and her knowledge and
Yeah.
what she went through, that wasn't quite the book that I wanted to read. A lot of it's about her divorce, and her big adventures were quite normal, I thought, eating a bowl of spaghetti and riding a bike and meditating. And I thought, I have sharks and skydiving and my truck
Yes.
getting stolen and I caused a stabbing on the train on page 1 in Africa, and climbing volcanoes and things like this, and scuba diving with sharks while my hand is gushing blood in Australia. So I think I wanted to read a more Indiana Jonesy book, and I think I nailed it. But that's
Yeah.
up to you after you finish it. I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And your moniker comes from, the world famous fictional character, Indiana Jones. I love Pamdiana Jones. It's a lot of fun.
Well, let me stop you there and just tell you where that came from. Obviously, in
Yeah.
the 90s, the emails were brand new. So a friend set me up with an email right after this trip. And I thought I had started writing letters home during the trip. I'm like, Pamdiana Jones, and ha, ha, ha. And she goes, that's perfect for your accounts.
Yeah.
So I've been that way before I wrote the book anyway. So when it came time to either write in my proper name or in a pen name, I knew right which way I was going.
Love that. Love that. What's one story from the book that still makes you laugh, until you cry, when you tell it to this day?
Oh, gosh. Can I ask how old your readers are? Are you
My listeners are all over the map, so
Oh,
whatever you got for us.
um, well, I'll tell a slightly more appropriate one then. I'm in Sumatra. I'm trying to get to an elephant reserve, and in one day, I get pickpocketed. No, I get picked up from my little hut by a heavy metal children's bus. They're going to school, but there's Eddie from Iron Maiden ripping open the ceiling, and they're blasting Metallica, and that's my kind of music. So, but I look in there, and everybody's got the Muslim hijabs on, and they're about 10 years old, and it's just a little bit out of place at 6 a.m, when you're trying. And I realize I'm on the school bus. The school bus has picked me up to take me to the bus. So once I'm on the bus, then I get pickpocketed, and in Indonesia, people don't touch women. It's a Muslim country, so it's very strict. So I felt someone touch me, and I went, oh, and Jay had taught me, keep $10 in your back pocket. A thief will think they got away with something. They don't realize you have a couple $1,000s on you.
Sure.
But then I get to the elephant reserve, and I start taking a malaria pill. Excuse me. And the guide says, no, no, no. He goes, we'll make some tea before we go over to the elephant reserve. We got about an hour. So he's marching through the jungle with a machete. It's so dark and sweaty inside that I can't even see properly. It's that dark inside the jungle. And he's a funny guy. Immediately, he shoves me over root system, and he goes, snake. And he barely speaks English, so I'm pushing him back. No, you go first. And there was no snake. He was just being a comedian. So we're picking vines and flowers, and he's going to help me make this malaria tea. And as soon as we get out of the jungle, he looks at my boots and he goes, "Oh, leeches." And I think he's joking again. So I go, like, "Lychees? Like, are you like leeches?" He's, "Oh yeah, go look at yourself." So I had a couple leeches on my leg, and I had to burn those off. And then I go. This was the 90s, so we didn't always know better, but it was quite the adventure. So I rode an elephant through the jungle, and you have to pat it on the temple to make it go each way. And it ripped down a tree for me and squirted me with water. And I get home that night to the resort. It's just a hut, and the guide's name is Rimbo, and he's staying off property, and there's nobody else there. So he goes, "I'll see you in the morning." So I'm a little nervous for the first time on my whole travels that I'd never expected to be in a jungle literally by myself. So I'm the genius who thinks I'm going to leave the lantern on all night. You can already see where this is going.
Yes.
So I'm reading my book. It's pitch black out, and my book is so good I fall asleep with it on my chest. And I wake up, and I have to use the ladies' room, and my mosquito net is covered with massive praying mantises and cicadas and everything, a million bugs in my room. And I am like, Rimbo should have told me about this. This probably happens every night. So I still have to go to the loo. So I have to like prepare my hair and put my shirt up and shake off my shoes. And I run out. And as soon as I'm done with the ladies' room, I realize the hallway has no bugs in it. And oh, it's only my room because I left the light on. So that's just one day of the book.
Oh my goodness! When you were talking about that, it brought back Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I talked about
That's the scene that I've got in my head. Oh my goodness!
yeah. So I lived that one, lucky me, and I bring up the movie for sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely you got to check this book out, guys, and it's super funny, and this is just a taste of the funny stories that you're going to hear. Funny, harrowing stories. It's I'm a huge music buff, and it looks like you are too from reading the book. What prompted the song dedications within your chapters of the book?
Oh, yes. I wrote the book for 3 years, and then I got financially burned by a couple of editors, and I thought, let me just Google what do editors do. So I really learned what to do and edit it myself, which whatever we can afford, it's $10,000 to hire an editor if you're a pro, but I'm not a pro. So in the editing process, a lot of the fine tuning polish came out. In my book, there's the title of each town, and then I put a stripe over it, and then I add a song to it. And that all came about the last month or so because I thought it looks a little empty. And I thought I kept listening to the 90s music to put me back in that place while I was writing. And I thought, ooh, that song goes with this town. That song goes with this town. And some of it's very obviously funny. I'm in a little town in New Zealand called Fraser Park. No, not Fraser Park. I forget, but I'm just there for a moment, and there's a glacier that everybody's walking, and I choose the song by Oasis, Wonderwall. So it's quite obvious in a moment like that. But sometimes it's just what was blaring over and over and over at that time. Hey Macarena and Ruth Rusted and all that stuff. So a lot of heavy metal in there and some 70s Cat Stevens and things, but obviously Metallica's Wherever I May Roam.
Yeah.
It's easy to choose.
Love that. Love that. So let's talk a little bit about the travel specifically. You've been throughout South Africa, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, as you just mentioned. Hawaii was in there as well. What was there one place that really surprised you in a good way after kind of reflecting on it?
Gosh, they each have such their own personalities. Africa's the wild still, just with all the animals running around. That is everything I thought it would be with my parents and their stories. So that was the final frontier for me to set foot in Africa. But I'd never heard anything about Indonesia. Obviously, people hear about Bali, and that's one of the islands that's there. But the rest of Indonesia, everybody's 5'6", and they're staring at you as a white woman walking down the street in the 90s. Just everybody goes to Bali. Why are you here? But they're hilarious, and they're such warm people. I ended up sleeping at people's houses. The taxi driver didn't know where to drop me, so he took me home, and I stayed at his house for 3 days. Just unique, interesting places. Australia, they are hilarious. But New Zealand I found to be very warm and very adventurous. That's where they just have horse trekking and jet boating, and you dig in the sand at this one beach, and up comes jacuzzi hot water and the bungee jumping and the skydiving and all of this. But while Australia might be like California, maybe, where we go, hey, nice to meet you. That was great. Let's have lunch. New Zealand says, come to my home. Tell me about your Christmas mornings. Maybe like Montana might do here in America. Just really interested in the newbie there. So, and same thing there. Please stay at my house. My grandma's having a barbecue. Come and stay. So that was really unique.
Yeah, fantastic comparisons. I like that. That kind of puts it in context for those who are still, stateside and don't travel, as often, which I know a lot of my listeners love to hear about travel and talk about travel, but they haven't necessarily done it yet. And they're building up the chops to go travel. So this is really, really great information. Thank you so much.
Sure.
When you've alluded to some things going wrong, on the travels throughout different countries. How did you decide to kind of lean into the adventure instead of just packing it up and going home?
Many people ask me that because the stabbing on the train that I've caused is on page one. So a lot of people went, I would have just flown home. That would have been too much for me. And I'm not sure if you got this far in Africa, but there's a moment where it's in Jeffreys Bay, which is a quite well-known surfing place. And all the
Mhm.
men, it was a big wave day, all the men went surfing, and I stayed back in the little bungalow to write some letters. And Jay and I had bought a car, and it was in the front, and I get a knock on the windows. And instead, the door's unlocked, the back door's open for the breeze, and I just decide, I don't even decide, I just do it. I pull back the curtains, and there's a couple of locals right there just screaming at me, my sister's bleeding, open the door, open the door. And my heart just goes, oh no, your poor sister. But out of my mouth goes Spanish. And I say some very crude things on accident, but I say it in a way that, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't speak English. And they turn to the bushes and shrug, and 6 other men run away.
Mm,
So it hits me dangerously that, oh, they know it's a big wave day and there's always a surfy tourist girl left behind. And
yeah.
that would have been the end for me. And a lot of people go, why didn't you go home then? And honestly, I'm so naive and optimistic. I went, that was a shitty day. Tomorrow will be a good one. So I
Yeah.
just don't have this, like, I have this weird, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. It's always going to be great. And usually my guardian angel is just exhausted. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, having traveled extensively myself, to, whether it's New York City or Rome or wherever, even small towns in Indonesia, there is there's a safety factor, that goes along, with it. And one thing that I've tried, and it sounds like you have done as well, is building up your intuition, your spidey senses, if you will, on what is safe and what is not. And up to this point, knock on wood, my intuition has always been right about those situations, and it
Me
sounds
too.
like yours are too. So that's a big part of travel. That's a big part of whether if you live in a small town here in the States and you're going to Dallas or wherever you're going, that there's a certain safety net that you need to put around yourself. So it doesn't matter where you're going. Those heckles should always be up when you're traveling, and I think that's great advice. Yeah.
Well, I think as you read my book, you'll see the slow growth of that. I mentioned a few times, oh, maybe I shouldn't wave money around right now. Maybe I shouldn't wear
Yes.
my Walkman that cost me $30 because these Indonesians don't have $30, so but you build up it's a muscle if you use it. Do I eat the ham sandwich or do I eat the salad today? And whatever your first instinct is, go with that. Whether you wanted the other one or not doesn't matter. Just go with that. And then when it's, should I hitchhike with this person or not? It's right there and you understand it and you recognize it. So, but if you don't practice it, it's faded and it's a whisper.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you just brought up food, because that was going to be my exact next question. We couldn't, have Pour and Explore without talking at least a little bit about food, and it's a big part of travel. Obviously, we have to eat, but being adventurous while we're out and about as well, I think is super, super important. What's the most bizarre or unexpected thing you've eaten along the way?
Oh gosh. Just in the book or the whole time of my
The
life?
whole time, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Give us whatever.
In South Africa, I ate kudu, which is like one of the antelopes with the twirly horns. I've had alligator. I've had kangaroo. I turned down a big juicy fish eyeball, which you're going to read about. My husband, that was in Indonesia, and my husband, we were in the Amazon, and we were out in the middle of the jungle, and this guy grabbed a grub worm, and I was going to eat one too. I had one ready to go, and it was white and wiggling, and I've seen it on Survivor, so I thought, ooh, would I really do it? And my husband bit it, and it squirted like a tomato. So I just dropped mine. I went, no, thank you. I don't think if he just chewed in the whole thing, I would have ate that too, I think. But I'm super glad he did it his way, because I can say I didn't have to do that.
Oh my God, I got the shivers when you
Yes.
when you made that description there. Oh yeah, it's I we talked a few weeks ago before we planned the interview, and I lost my notes as far as your wine consumption. I cannot recall whether or not you're a wine fan or not, so I think we should talk a little bit about that.
I am, however, in South Africa with Jay there still, eating
Hmm.
white rice, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and drinking water, and that's it. Finally, we get through this really dangerous area, and I insist. I go, we're getting some cheese and a little South African bottle of wine, and I still have it to this day. 30 years later, it's got a little crack in it from all the moves, but get something like, come on, we're here, and South Africa's known for their wines. So I wish I would have maybe loosened the purse strings a little bit more when he was there, because I missed out on a few things, but I wouldn't have been able
Right.
to continue without his advice. But New Zealand wines, I worked in a few bars and restaurants, so got in one bar they gave you a free meal before you started waiting tables.
Oh,
So
nice.
they have an all-night liquor license. So I went to work at 5 p.m. for my meal, which was like liver and onions. But I just got up at 4 p.m. because I slept all day because I waited tables. And then you work all night till 6 in the morning. And then you sleep all day. So I'm having red wine and kidney pie for breakfast. And then I don't eat all day. And then I have red wine and liver and onions for the next day. So it's a very odd way to live. I don't think I could do it at my age now.
It worked, at least at the time it did. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super fun. That's super fun. You recently discovered, you talked about your grandparents earlier. You recently discovered something that was hidden for years and years and years. And I want to talk a little bit about that because it's another book that you're going to be that you have put out there.
Yes.
Tell us about The Secret of Oak Island.
Yes, I've got it right here to show you too. It's written by Bertram Smith, The Secret of Oak Island. And it's my mother is a natural triplet born in England, and they're traveling with their cousins. So it's a bunch of 13-year-olds going off and having a Goonies type adventure. But anyone who knows, The Secret of Oak Island is a real treasure hunt that's
Yeah.
been unsolvable for 200 years on the History Channel. So I've been watching the show for 10 years. And then I find in the dusty attic, we're up in the attic and I never go up there. So I asked my husband, what's in that box? And I went, oh yeah, my mom gave me this that my grandpa tried to write a book. And I looked at it and it was completed and almost completed. And it was from 60 years earlier. So I retyped it up and did it word for word from his era. Enough so that at one point I cringed for a moment. He says, and these are my daughters, the type of good girls that are seen and not heard. And I go,
Oh,
but I didn't want to take it out because that is 1963. So I went, no, but the rest of the time the girls are fighting pirates and have big swords and caves and crawling through the mud and things like that, just like the boys. So he was trained to say that, but he didn't believe it because they're fighting pirates too. But yeah, this is good for 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, having a Goonies fun family adventure. And there is some real pictures in the back. My grandfather, he joined the British Navy when he was just 14, and he went to the Middle East to place where the airports are today that we use. And he toured around with Lawrence of Arabia. There's a lot more there, and there might be a full book about his entire life there. So my aunt was born in Egypt, and they got to go to the palace where my aunt played with the princess for about 8 years before they moved back to England and had my mother. So just incredible stories there that my kids can barely tell any of their friends. They go, Mom, there's too many stories. Everyone thinks we're making it up.
well, adventure obviously runs in your family. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing, and I hope your kids are able to take up that adventure when they're old enough as well. That's
Right. We've
that's
taken
amazing.
and 4 tickets is much more expensive than 1 now. So I think we
Yes.
can save up take them somewhere new every 3 years is what we try to do now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a way. I love that. I love that for my son as well, being able to take him out of our little bubble here in California and see beyond what we have available to us
Yeah.
here in the States, and other cultures and other food and other people. And it's the best education in the world. So I'm glad that your kids are getting that
And
opportunity.
it's not just for wealthy people. We live in a townhome and drive Toyotas. That's the choice
Yeah.
we made, so we can still do the other things.
Oh yeah, my wife and I talk all the time about priorities. You know, we have priorities in life, and for us, travel, wine, food are priorities. So we forego other things in our
Right.
life, to be able to do that. And I think that's a great way to live. And whatever that priority is, your priority might be something completely different, completely opposite, and that's amazing as long as it works for you.
Go for your passion, whatever it is, make it a priority, make it important for you, for sure.
Definitely, definitely. So The Secret of Oak Island is also available on Amazon, if I understand correctly. We've got the holidays coming up. If you have teenagers, it's a great book for teenagers. So definitely check that out. And I haven't had the chance to read that one yet, but just from the reviews that I've seen, it's absolutely awesome. How much of your personality and humor did you get the opportunity to layer in the book when rewriting it?
He really, I wanted it to be his words in his book. So I said by Bertram Smith, and then that I published it and had retyped it up. So I didn't add anything until a bit of the ending. There was a little bit of loose leftover questions that maybe a few pages were missing. So I just added to the ending there.
Okay.
But I tried to think of it in his words that would make this book proud. So I kind of left it to him that way,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Well, it's a great way to honor someone who was able to travel the world, put it down in writing, obviously, had great stories of his own, that he was able to share with the world. And I'm so glad that you're here to help share your grandfather's writings with the world. And speaking of other writings, you've got some other things that are coming out as well. You've got some more children adventure books
yeah,
coming out
I
around
just got
the holidays.
I just got my prototype, my first office copy. My sister and I used to play a game called Something, where we would sneak around the house and have to touch the room, every room in the house, silently. Even if the parents were in the room or someone was doing dishes, we got to touch it and run back and say mission completed. So I'm starting a Something series, and this one it's a Something Weird on Christmas Eve, and this is good for 6 to 8 year olds. This was written in the lockdown. I wrote about 3 or 4 of these, and I have twins, a girl and a boy, that they were 9 at the time. And I just thought, let me entertain them and write a book about them. So they find a magic portal. It takes them to meet Santa, and definite hilarious shenanigans along the way. But they're much older now. They're teenagers, but they love it. And I finally found the right illustrator. So we're working as a team to, if he can keep drawing them, I'm going to keep writing them, and we'll go from there. But The Secret of Oak Island by Pamdiana Jones as well. That should be publishing October 7th. So coming right up.
That's amazing. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that and telling us about it. I'm looking forward to. I've got some younger nieces and nephews. I think that will absolutely love that because they love to travel as well. So I'm looking
That's age
forward to that one
appropriate.
coming out.
I just have to say the book When in Rome is not age appropriate. That's
Right, right.
And I do have, I'm about 20 pages from my second comedy travel memoir for adults. One of the girls I meet in Bali, her name is Lucy. She's British, but she invites me through the South Pacific Islands, and I say yes. We go on another adventure. So more shenanigans and more dumb things that Pam Deanna does. So as long as everybody's laughing, I will put my shame aside and say, it's so funny, I have to write it, even though it's an embarrassing moment. So you'll see.
Fantastic. Well, we can't wait. What advice, we've got a lot of listeners, and I'm sure some of them out there, have had people tell them, or they've thought themselves, I should write a book about whatever. What advice would you give someone who feels like they have a story to tell and put it in the book form? What advice would you give them as an author?
Gosh, I wish I did this 10 years earlier. So I waited till I had twins, and that's when I thought I should write. So I wasn't busy enough. So I just had insomnia and just started writing at night. And my advice is start. I literally, I'm old enough to use Post-it notes. So I wrote Africa, chased by a herd of elephants, stabbing on the train, like just a little note. And then you pick a place where you're going to start. I thought the stabbing on the train, I recognized my own reflection and go like, oh, I'm in Africa, it's happening. And then I did a little flashback to how did that happen? And off we go to the races here. But I just learned the way to word that. It's not motivation, it's discipline. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go to the gym, you don't wait till you're motivated. No, who wants to get off the couch and put the ice cream bowl away? Nobody. So you just do it every day, and then all of a sudden the results are there. And one day I hit the end, and I look behind me, and it's done. And same thing, with weight loss or saving money or whatever, you're planting that garden. One day
Yeah.
it's already done behind you, and you go, I did it. So many doors have opened up because of this book. And I'm 54 years old. I wrote this at 50, or I published it at 50. So it was so nice to show my children you can start a whole new career in your midlife as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great lesson for everyone, most
I'd say
definitely.
the best advice I got, you can't edit an empty page. We all wait for that perfect sentence, and it never comes. Just write the sloppy one down, and later you'll go, that's not quite what I meant, and you'll
Yeah,
polish it up a little bit. Like I said, that the songs and that line and the format I chose 4.5 years later after I was writing the book. So it'll be done when it's done. You're not Stephen King. You don't have to pump out one book a month. You know what I mean? So just start. And now I've actually got 7 books written. So 3 published this next week and a 4th one soon. And here we go. So maybe I'm an author properly at 50 years old.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
You became an international best-selling author pretty much on day one. How did that feel? And did you celebrate that?
Still working on the bestseller. There's so many different categories of what makes a bestseller, but I definitely became international author because all my friends from South Africa and Indonesia and New Zealand and Australia, they wanted to buy it because they were in it. So that really helped boost that immediacy to, oh, ta-da, I'm a worldwide author now. So that felt
Yeah.
really good. But I've won a few awards for my writing style,
Yes.
and that adds more comedy to our family as well. So I'm
Yeah,
just
that was going to be my next thing. You won a Solus Award, for your writings. What does that mean to you when the world is recognizing this thing that you've done?
do we have another moment for a quick story again about Africa?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
this is the funniest award. I'm in South Africa. Jay is gone. I've met 3 new guys, and we decided to go to the animal park, but this one has lions and things. So I don't know these guys from Adam. So we drive, we rent a car together, and we drive up, and we realize we're on the wrong side of the Shishlui Elephant Park, is how you pronounce that. And there's a Black local there, and he's staring at us. We're staring at him, and my friend shakes a bag of marijuana seeds. And, hey, buddy, where can I get some? And the guy just nods and ends up climbing in the car with us. So I'm like, okay. So he keeps pointing up these roads. He's Zulu. He doesn't speak a word of English, and we don't speak any Zulu, of course. For about an hour, we're driving up these non-roads. We're getting out of the car, pushing it over rocks, and finally we come across some genuine Africans that are in like the Hawaiian skirts and just a husband and wife. They're just, the woman's topless. They're wearing clay covering their skin all over their faces. The woman's carrying the pot on her head. Husband of the year is not carrying anything. And they say, like, they go like, whoa, you can't be here. This is our land. It's the body language. But then they
Right.
see the friend in the car, and they're all, hey, what's up? So the body language totally changes. And I guess he tells them that we want some marijuana, and they go, okay, have fun. So a few minutes later, we pull into just 10, 15 huts, a circle of huts. There's goats and chickens everywhere. And we end up at Big Mama's hut. The whole village comes out to look at, well, who are these people in our town? We've never seen a car before. Half of them are little kids. They've never seen white people before. So
Right.
Big Mama comes out, and she rolls a barrel out, and she's walking it slowly to us. And my New Zealand friend that originally started this whole thing, he leans into me and he goes, watch me bargain with her. And she digs in double arms with her apron and goes, $6. He goes, okay. So no bargaining. He's just super excited. So they invite us to stay for dinner. My friends decide no, and I'm a little bummed about that because what are we doing in Africa in the first place?
Right.
So I'm not a big marijuana smoker, but I thought this is such an adventure. I'm going to have to partake in this one. So we decide we'll check out the park later, but we're going to go rent our tree house. We end up in a double room tree house with a ladder climbing up into the trees and everything. And I decide I'm going to smoke it with them. And It's about 2 in the morning, and the Scottish guy goes, "We're in Africa. Let's go for a walk." We're all, "Yeah." So we go for a walk for about 2 miles, 2 in the morning. I've got a little tiny pin flashlight, and all of a sudden we hear snap. And it all dawns on us, oh my God, we're staying inside the animal park with lions and rhinos and tigers and, or no, leopards and all this.
Oh my goodness.
So all of a sudden we back up towards each other like river dance, and we're just kind of like, what? And I shine my light, and there is 1,000 eyes looking at us, different sizes and different heights. And we are surrounded, and we just run back to our room, and like fire is underneath our feet. So the next day we start, going around the African thing, and it's not fearful in the middle of the morning, but
Right.
that's the story I sent into the Solus Awards. And if you really look at that award, it says I won the award for shopping. And it took me a while. I'm all, shopping? I'm not a big shopper. I hate shopping. And I went, oh my God, did I win an award for buying marijuana? I think I won an award for buying marijuana. So explain that one to your kids, right?
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, that is a story.
Comedy gold, right?
Oh my goodness. You know, bungee jumping and near disasters and wild animals, 3 years of globe trotting. Would you do it again?
In a heartbeat, in a New York minute. However, at my age now, we go to a little bit nicer stays, and we definitely try the food and the wine for sure. Again, I'm glad I did it then. And if you told me that day that, oh, you're not coming back for 3 years and you're going to do this around the world by yourself, because earlier you talked about courage and bravery, and I would have went, oh, I'm not going to go then. If he's not going, I'm not going, is what I would have thought. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad it gently unfolded that way, where it became easy. Now I've hopped on flights to Venezuela by myself and didn't even think twice about it, so it's that'll all be in the next book or two.
Oh my goodness. Well, we are talking today to Pamdiana Jones, and what a super fun conversation. Definitely head over to Amazon, check out the books. You're going to find that information down in the show notes. Check her out on Instagram, check her out on TikTok, and we're going to finish up our interview today the way we always do, with a little lightning round. How does that sound?
I'm ready.
All right. First question, window seat or aisle seats?
Oh, window, gotta sleep.
Very good. What's your go-to comfort food on the road?
Oh gosh, probably a good old-fashioned hamburger.
Love it.
Cheeseburger,
Love it.
cheeseburger, yeah.
There we go. What's always in your carry-on bag?
Oh, honestly, a bit of hand lotion. I'm like, just let me wash my hands. I wash my hands 5,000 times a day, where I'm like, a little bit of nice scented lotion there.
Yeah, good advice. Absolutely. You may have already answered this, but the country that has the friendliest locals.
Oh, that's going to be too hard to pick. Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, South Africa. Is that wrong? Yeah.
No, there are no wrong answers
Yeah,
whatsoever.
Thailand, I would go back there in a heartbeat. So there's when you walk into the world ready to meet everybody, that's a potential friend, they show up. They're there
Yeah.
for you. So I loved Paris. I loved New York City, when those are two cities known for being quite snooty or quite uncaring. And I'm like, I had a great time. So
Yeah.
you give what you get, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been to New York in ages, but I was just in Paris in May, and they're the friendliest people. I hear all the time, oh, the French are so stuck up, and especially in Paris. And no, they're not. They are absolutely not. If you're not a rude, obnoxious American going in there, then no, they're not.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, definitely. Last question for Pamdiana Jones. If you could pack only one thing besides your passport on your next trip, what would it be?
That bikini on beach.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. Oh my goodness. Pamdiana Jones, thank you so much for your time today. It was awesome to have you on the show. We're really excited about the books coming out, and excited for you as an author. You're getting your chops in, and it's absolutely amazing. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I've had so much fun. I'll be on anytime you want.
Awesome.
And that right there is Pamdiana Jones, everybody, the woman who accidentally traveled around the world for 3 years and had the good sense to write every bit of it down. When in Rome is available now on Amazon and at pamdianajones.com. You'll find the link waiting for you down there in the show notes. While you're there, check out her other titles too, because there's a lot more in that pipeline coming from this wonderful woman, including the newly released Secret of Oak Island, a manuscript her grandfather wrote back in 1963 and sat in an attic for over 60 years. I mean, come on. You can also follow Pam on Instagram, TikTok. She's at Pamdiana Jones on both. So again, you can find those links in the show notes. Now, if this episode did anything for you today, here's what I need from you. I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. It costs you nothing to do, and it means the world to independent podcasters like me who are out there doing this for the love of it and not for the money. Quite frankly, leave us a review anywhere you're able to leave a review for me. I would really appreciate it. It will only take a minute or two, and it generally helps people find the show, and every single one gets read. I really appreciate it. And if something Pam said today made you laugh, made you think, or made you want to buy a one-way ticket somewhere, tell me about it in the comments. I'd love to know. You can find everything Pour and Explore in one place at thewineguy.vin. You just check out the show notes for that link. And follow along on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, of course, if you're not already there listening to it. You'll find all of that stuff down below in the notes. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with me today. And until next time, keep wondering and wandering. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Pour and Explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear your stories or questions. Drop me a message at cheers@thewineguy.vin. That's cheers@thewineguy.vin. Or let's connect on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Grab those links at thewineguy.vin. Until next time, let's keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everybody.